Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. We're super excited to be here again today. We have such a great topic and a great interviewee today, and we're super excited to get started. Of course, I have my wonderful friend, co host, Kurt Anderson. How are you today, Kurt?
Sammy Joe, my goodness gracious, I couldn't sleep a wink last night for this wonderful interview with our dear friend. And so I know we've got a ton to unpack, so we're going to dive right in. Hey, Bentley's here today. Bentley, happy Thursday, brother. So hope you're doing awesome. So, guys, I want to introduce my dear friend. We've got Greg Mischio. Greg is hailing from the great state of Wisconsin. He's a Badger, and he is the proud owner of a man. He's flying the W, and so that's for WinBound, the name of his company, B2B industrial marketing expert here, WinBound. Greg, happy Thursday. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Kurt. Hey, Sammy Joe. Hello, Alaska. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me here.
Awesome. So, hey, we've got some fun questions to ask you. You've done a really exciting research project that we want to dig into. Before we go there, Greg, so for folks that aren't aware of like how you make the world a better place, what you do for manufacturers, you have a really unique spin on like combining that sale, like pulling that sales and marketing together. Can you just share a little bit about what you guys do at WinBound?
Sure. So WinBound is a digital marketing agency, but we actually refer to ourselves as a digital sales and marketing agency. Everybody knows, manufacturing has traditionally been a very sales-driven industry. And, as the customers, as our prospects, B2B prospects, are migrating more online and doing more of their searching for products and solutions online, we've been trying to push, along with Kurt, I know you're doing the same thing, trying to encourage manufacturers to get more involved with what I call the digital territory. So if you're going to talk about sales territory, you might as well call it the digital territory. Up to 58% of a customer's journey takes place online before a meaningful interaction with a salesperson. That's according to Gartner. I think by 2025, 80% of the sales interactions are going to occur in digital channels. This is how more and more people are searching. And we all know that when we go online, we search for things, even in the B2B space. So it's just the way of the world now. So we need manufacturers to get their story online. And so what we've done is we understand that with complex products, you need the salesperson involved. We're not saying you don't. So what we've tried to do is integrate sales as much as possible into the online content that we're helping manufacturers produce. So the one way I kind of explain it is you need to make a digital twin of your sales team with your content. So what that means is whenever your people are searching online, and remember, they're doing most of their research online before they talk to a salesperson, they're going to run into your content. And your content is going to act almost like a salesperson in terms of how it presents the information, how it convinces them that your product or service is better, and ultimately helps you transition into a lead for your real live breathing salespeople. So that's what we call the digital twin sales and marketing framework. And that's what we do for our clients.
Well, I love that. And dude, it's a brilliant strategy. I know we've done several webinars where you promote that, and we have a little live stream show that you've come on. And so I love how you break it down and just the simplicity of it, where like this digital transformation can be daunting and overwhelming for a lot of manufacturers. And they do understand that digital twin concept. So I love that you put a unique spin on it by combining that marketing and sales. We're not replacing a salesperson. We're just trying to enhance and make their life a little easier, a little smoother. So Sam, I know we've got some questions here for Greg, and that might kind of tie in with our first question, but why don't you go ahead and kick things off, and we'll get the party rolling here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kurt. And thank you so much for being here, Greg. I think I really enjoyed learning about WinBound, but let's kind of dive into like a little bit more about like your background, and then how did WinBound get started? Like, how did it kind of start up?
Sure. My personal background is as a copywriter for an ad agency. I'm like a journalism major out of school. Worked with a lot of ad agencies, and then internal communications departments. Eventually went out on my own, And that's when content got really big in the internet. And I'm like, wow, people need this. They need this content out there, huge need. And started to work with a bunch of different clients in a bunch of different industries. And then we really saw that manufacturing was an underserved market. And we really like the challenge of working with manufacturers as well, just because the products and the services are amazing and the people are so brilliant that work in it. Just a fascinating field the more and more we got into it.
Excellent, man. I love that. So Greg, why B2B? Like why first off, why are all the cool kids going into manufacturing? Like we talk a lot about that renaissance, like, you've really gone all in with your business. Why should folks be considering going this direction towards manufacturers in the United States?
I mean, I just think it's something that I was just thinking about this earlier today, that we just so take for granted, but yet it is so amazing and produces so many miracles. And I was thinking about, like, how many times have you seen somebody get super irritated with an app or something on their cell phone or their cell phone provider or whatever? And it's like, do you not realize what a miracle that thing is in your hands? Like if you would have shared that with somebody about like 30 years ago, they would have said, you can talk to somebody face to face. I mean, that's space age stuff.
Right.
So I just think that in terms of manufacturing, I mean, like we'll go up to, we have a company makes converting machinery. And they've got the machinery that puts together like Band-Aids and puts together, converts different materials into a little Band-Aid. And it's like, it made me think, wow, a Band-Aid, what's going into putting that thing together, putting it in, between the liner, putting together the paper around it. And it's just fascinating. And I also think, Kurt, besides just the utilitarian need of manufacturing, I mean, everything around me is manufactured, that there is also the integration of tech now. I mean, just on so many levels. Yeah. And, everybody's fascinated with tech, and it's just amazing how many advancements it makes in the manufacturing space as well. So it's kind of ticks all the boxes. It's like, it's helping us in so many ways, so many productive ways. And it's also a lot of fun and exciting as well.
I love it, man. And manufacturing, truly the heroes of our economy, the backbone of our country. And so just absolutely love it. And just thank you for your support to the manufacturing community, Greg. And our Alaska MEP friends are certainly supporting the manufacturing community. Sammy Jo, what's next on our list for Greg today?
Yeah. So you recently conducted a research project for manufacturers that was called the Manufacturing Content Benchmark Report. So what inspired you to conduct this research?
Okay, so I mentioned before that we are trying to make content the digital twin of your sales team. And so when we were thinking about that, we as marketers realized, hey, we're lousy at sales. How, what's all involved in us, really making a sale? And we've studied tons of sales techniques, everything from the challenger sale, the neuro selling, new sales simplified, a lot of different sales techniques, and we integrate it into kind of the strategy. But the one thing we kept coming back to was this golden rule of sales, is that people will only do business with you. And I know Kurt said this a lot, if they know you, like you, and trust you. Mm-hmm. So it just seemed, as we looked at our content, that we need to create content for each one of those stages. And essentially what this has come down to is the know you content is that top of funnel content that really addresses a customer's pain points or challenges. And that's usually found in like blog posts or YouTube posts or things like that, where you're just getting people to know who you are. And you do that by talking about their issues. The like you content is what we call like the mid-funnel content. Now, this is where you're giving them the insights that will solve those top of funnel problems. You know, you're showing them a better way to do business. The only way to get somebody to change the way they're doing business in a complex sale to move from A to B is to show them that the pain of the status quo and doing business the way they are doing it is far greater than the pain of spending more money and moving over to what you want to do. So those are over to your solution. So that's the like you content. And then the final is the trust you content. That's where you prove that you actually can do what you say. And that's like case studies and testimonials and data on your site. So we looked at those three key areas: know you, like you, trust you content. And then we said, how many manufacturers are out there actually producing this kind of stuff? And I've got some slides here, and whenever you're ready, I can share some of that to show you what we found.
Yeah, pull it right up, Greg.
You want to pull it up? Yeah.
Okay.
This is great. And Sammy Joe, while Greg's pulling it up, I use know, like, trust frequently, and you know why? Is solely because of Greg. Greg taught me that, and I take zero credit for it whatsoever. And so I always love giving my buddy Greg Mischio, credit for the know, like, trust. So it doesn't matter if you're selling a restaurant, you're selling bagels, you're selling your accountant selling a service, or manufacturer just producing incredible product. Boy, you have to have that know, like, trust.
So true. Yeah, it's intuitive. So can you see that?
Yeah, we sure can. Perfect. Yep.
So we analyzed over 400 manufacturing websites from under, I believe 25 million. And we broke it out to like 25 million to 100 million, then over 100 million. We eliminated companies, I think, that were below 5, because a lot of these companies didn't seem to be able to, they had very basic websites. Mm-hmm. But we then, there's the segmentation. I forgot to put the breakout in there, over 100 million. Oh, there it is. And then we looked at the 3 types of content. So I'm just going to give you an example of a few of these. So this was percentage of manufacturers using social media, for example. Now, we found that these are 51% were active on social media. Now, this is across the entire gamut here, but we found these results are pretty specific or pretty consistent, even with all those bigger breakdowns. But 51% of manufacturers active on social media, about 9% inactive on social media. There was 39% not using any social media at all. So the active would be, and I think we were very conservative on that. So like, I think we said, are you on one channel, and just a very minimal amount of posting out there. Mm-hmm. So, to me, social media is almost like table stakes in today's world. And, I just, in the report, I'm going to give you a link to the report. We've got a lot of manufacturing experts and sales and marketing experts in there. And Jake Hall, he chimed in. He said, do trade shows, meet people, exchange information. But if you are only doing that and not using social media, you're wasting money and losing customers. And Jake, as part of his job is sales, and he generates a lot of referrals and a lot of business off his LinkedIn channel. So that's the social aspect. That's one aspect of it. And Kurt and Sammy Joe, if you guys have any questions, obviously jump in.
Yeah, no, that's very telling. And boy, Sammy Joe, 39, basically 40% are not using it whatsoever. And, and it is challenging, so, and these are sizable companies, Greg. These are not the, 5 employees, like you said, $1 million shop. Like, these are sizable companies that are collectively just, whether they're Gen Xers, baby boomers, just, it has not been a priority. And so this is very telling. Sammy Joe, what do you think? Are you shocked by these numbers? Are you did you expect these numbers, or what are your thoughts?
No, I am shocked. I would say I'm kind of shocked by the numbers, because it just seems like something, but that's also something we're telling ourselves as the MEP is we are trying to get on and more actively make our time to utilize social media. I guess something I want to ask, we throw a curveball at you, is what would be your suggestions or tips for people that, there aren't using social media to the best of their abilities because of their time commitment, or they're just a much smaller manufacturer and operation, and how do they really prioritize to make sure they're not losing customers, losing money?
Yeah, and that's such a great question, Sammy Joe, because I think, yeah, as I was looking at this, I was thinking the same thing. It's a little not really showing a ton of empathy for how busy people are. And I know personally, when I'm not doing something, it's usually not because I don't think it's a priority. It's because I'm not exactly sure how to approach it. I'm not sure what I should be doing on it. So I think you need to get a little bit strategic in how you're going to use social media. What is going to be your approach? Because I think a lot of people, especially if they don't use social media, and I'm using LinkedIn as really kind of my primary, what I'm referring to here is get a LinkedIn strategy. Understand that, look, we're going to use this to meet people, and this would be the simplest way I would explain it. Treat it like you would, and get your salespeople to treat it like they would any in-person networking event. You are just going to go to expand your network and meet people and look for opportunities. That alone, just with that kind of mindset that I'm going to build referral networks off of this, and I'm going to meet people like Kurt Anderson, who's maybe going to introduce me to other people, and refer business to me, that alone can be your framework for getting on there. And then you do what you can. I remember once I was talking to a guy about investing in retirement, and he said, look, just do what you can right now. So if you can budget out 15, 20 minutes, half an hour a day, do it. And then you can just slowly build and build on these things. I mean, Kurt, I don't know what you think about that, but I find that on social, getting in there consistently, your results kind of build on each other and compound.
No, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you got to start somewhere. And so, maybe if you take smaller chunks for smaller manufacturers of just, it's just 15 minutes a day, just try to hop on 15 minutes a day, and then starting somewhere, and that'll help grow it.
Yeah, Greg, I think you're spot on as far as if you can treat your online presence, and again, like say for us Gen Xers or baby boomers, for the folks that are digital immigrants, a little bit daunting, waste of time, those types of things. But, as Greg's saying, if you could just, boy, Greg, like our friendship, our relationship, we've done a ton together. And Sammy Joe, just to pass this, you met my partner, Nicole Donnelly, in person at the MEP annual conference last month. And she's a direct referral from Greg. And so the only reason I know Nicole Donnelly is thanks to Greg Mischio. So Greg, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. 110%. Drop the mic. You are spot on, my friend.
Okay, great. Well, let's jump ahead. This is percentage of manufacturing websites with a blog. Now, this shrinks down considerably. Active blog on a website, 21%, inactive 4%, no blog whatsoever on a website. Now, we do a lot of writing for our clients, and in manufacturing, really, a lot of manufacturers just rely on their YouTube channel if they are doing any kind of top of funnel. These are kind of top of funnel, know you piece of content. And they typically don't do a lot of content, written content. But I will tell you this, that written content is very important for search engines. So if you're just doing videos only, I think you're kind of missing some key components on search for some of your products, which are probably more keyword driven. We've also seen when we write with one of our clients, they do centrifugal casting. They are a foundry, and we've been writing a ton for them. They're a little tiny foundry in Watertown, Wisconsin, Spuncast, and they are going up against some really big foundries and they went into Chat GPT and just said, what is the best centrifugal casting foundry? And they came up ahead of some of the big competition. So it's because we've been writing so much about it. So there is a written element that you need. And this is a quote from a guy named Andy Crestodina, very prominent in the SEO and content marketing field. And he's saying, if you don't get out there with some kind of written content like that, you are deliberately letting your competitors win that huge amount of visibility and traffic.
Yeah, fantastic point. Hey, our dear friend, teammate from the Last MVP, Megan Melatello, is here today. Megan, she was just, boy, if you want to catch Megan, she was our guest 2 weeks ago. And she, on social media, Greg, she says, yes, it's a practice, just like anything in life. You can build any habit into a daily routine. And she's a fierce workout guru. She's a war. She served our country proudly, 2 tours in Iraq. So Megan, sending lots of love to you, my friend. Great comment there. And Greg, so that's also very telling. Basically, 3/4 of manufacturers are not putting out any written content. And what I love what you said is, Sammy Joe, if you recall, we interviewed our dear friend, mine and Greg's mutual friend, Jeff Long. So if you guys are catching this and you want to learn about video strategies for manufacturers, go back and go on the Last MVP page, and you can go circle back and catch Jeff Long sharing video strategies. And one thing that that Jeff talks about is like, get the transcription. If you're like, hey, it's really painful. I'm not a journalist major, and I'm not going to sit here and type out a blog. I don't have anybody that can do it. That's a little bit overwhelming. Boy, just, get those videos, and you can use a transcription tool, and now you can convert that into written content. It's a little bit of a shortcut to help you go there. So great tip there, Greg. Love it.
Absolutely. And then the final slide here that I've got, active YouTube channel. So, okay, you're not going to do anything written. Get some YouTube videos out there on your products. Demo your stuff. Only 11% active on YouTube. 22% inactive, and no YouTube at all, 65%. I heard the gasp there, Kurt, and no wonder. Provide all the necessary information to help your ideal prospect make a buying decision. And again, this is why this is all so critical. I think I'm going to go back to what Sammy Joe said here, and I'm just going to put this up. This is where you guys can go and get the report, the full report. You can do that bit.ly WinBound -report, or you can just follow the URL code. You don't need to enter an email to download the report, but if you would like to sign up for a newsletter and get future content like this, please do. But I think back to your point, Sammy Joe, you're not surprised, and I'm not surprised either. This industry is lagging, but if you showed these stats to some other B2B field that is seeing a lot of, actively marketing and reaping the benefits, they would be somewhat shocked.
Right.
Yeah. And Greg, so if you don't mind, let's so guys, you know what? Can you grab your presentation real quick again? I just want to recap a couple of things real quick, and we've got a couple of minutes left here. But as Greg's pulling that back up, guys, what I strongly welcome you to do is, number one, if you're just coming into this, boy, hit the rewind button. Greg is just dropping tons of value here, and number one, number two. What I love about Greg, and Greg, you can plug your ears because I know you're a very humble guy, is Greg's a guy, he doesn't talk the talk, he walks the walk. And so when you go to WinBound and you go to check out his content, like if you're going to go somewhere, Greg, it'd be like coming to me to be a barber. Like, nobody's going to come to me to get a haircut, right? But when you go to Greg and you're like, hey, Greg, Mr. Content King, are you putting your money where your mouth is? Absolutely. He has all sorts of amazing blog posts. He posts about Sammy Joe, a lot of our mutual friends. He's like Allison DeFord, and he interviews all sorts of different people, even people that he overlaps with a little bit. So he has no problem putting some competitors out there because he knows that they bring value. Greg, great family man. You have a wonderful blog post about your dad. I absolutely love that blog post that you shared. I know your son has joined the team here recently, so congratulations on that. But if you go to WinBound, there's just all sorts of great information to help manufacturers understand like how content works, why content's so important. He mentioned that digital twin early on. And so again, check out winbound.com. Great information. Greg, let's start taking it home. And any parting thoughts that you want to share with anybody? Sammy Joe kind of mentioned like, hey, where does somebody start? My God, 12% have a YouTube channel. Like, what a competitive advantage out there for manufacturers to jump into. What are some other steps that you would recommend for folks to get the party started here for content?
Yeah, it seems like an overwhelming and daunting task, and it really is. It is and it isn't. I mean, it's one of those things where, what is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. What's the second best time right now? Right. So, you start out with a strategy. And then what we've just tried to do is, I'm not the smartest, cookie in the cookie jar. I don't know what the expression is, but I just try and keep things simple. And so we're trying to follow the model of sales and, do what's worked for your sales for your manufacturing company in the past and try and replicate what those salespeople are doing online. Get your message online as best you can. There are a lot of smart marketers out there too who have kind of published, like we've got an approach page here. I'm just going to share this real quick. If you go to our site, just share it real quick here. I mean, this page alone, if you just go here, this just actually kind of walks you through what our process is. And if you can even just take a framework like this and just follow it, create a strategy document, create some content for each stage, and then track it with some, very basic metrics, that can help you quite a bit. So that's our approach and pricing tab on there, and you can check that out.
Well, that's fantastic. And just, hey, you're not, the cookie jar example, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either, Greg.
There it is.
Let's do the math. Okay. I'm no math major, Sammy Joe, but let's just crunch the numbers real quick. It's fact. 80% of the purchasing process is going to be done online. 75% of manufacturers don't have a blog. Like there's a little disconnect there. Sammy Joe, do you smell opportunity? Do you see tremendous opportunity here?
Right. No, I absolutely see it. I think that's something we hear frequent from our manufacturers. I think in Alaska, we deal with a lot of small size manufacturers, and it's really just taking the time. But I think, like you said, you plug away 15 minutes a day, you start adding to it, it will just open up so many more doors for opportunities, as you showed there. And especially because, as you've also demonstrated, there is not a lot of people doing it or taking advantage of it. That should be. So absolutely.
Incredible opportunity. So guys, we'll start winding down here. And so first off, Sammy Joe, how about a huge round of applause for our esteemed colleague here, our superstar guest. And so big shout out to our audience, Bentley, Megan, everybody out there that's listening. Boy, connect with the Alaska MEP. They are just here working. They're warriors, just working tenaciously to help manufacturers in Alaska. Greg, words of wisdom, parting thoughts that you want to share with our audience today?
Boy. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I think, just creating awareness, checking out some data like this, and just engaging with the game, and getting yourself started. I read something very interesting on a different topic about someone who had reached a certain point of enlightenment and intelligence about a certain area. And he said, you can't go from, the entry level to here. It's like, you have to go in subsequent stages. So, you're not going to be as smart as Kurt Anderson starting out, but you will build and get better, just like you built your business. And this is, you can do the same thing with digital sales and marketing.
Well, we got to set the bar just a little bit higher than that one, my friend. So, Greg, Thank you for joining us, dude. We appreciate you. Thanks for just your relentlessness and just the curiosity that you constantly bring, your humility, your sense of humor. Absolutely love it, my friend. So thank you for joining us today. Sammy Joe, why don't you close us out on this beautiful, wonderful Thursday in October?
Yes, thank you so much, Kurt. And thank you so much, Greg. I think everything you talked about was very insightful. I really appreciate the slides and just seeing those statistics. They were super eye-opening. And thank you all for joining us. We do these every other Thursday at noon. So check us out live in 2 weeks. Have a great Thursday.